you filthy swines, get in here, have a seat. Let's get on with the news. This is a subject I'm going to return to as often as I can if I find new articles that are relevant, but my own personal experience of being a former addict of pornography, I think it's a good idea to encourage rational laws that would protect young people from this kind of content. So I'm interested in knowing what kind of laws are being cooked up around the States. From Desert News, an article written by Brigham Tomko. Thank you, sir. How Utah plans to turn the tide on porn. How Utah is forcing porn companies to keep kids safe and pay for public harms. It's hard for Smith Alley to identify the exact moment things started to shift, but over the past 5 years it became undeniable. The United States reached a turning point against pornography. Alley, age 22, is emblematic of a generational realization. He said he was exposed to porn at 9 or 10. By 14, porn felt like some sort of drug, available for free on smartphones and school laptops 24/7. On school laptops, the explicit images tapped into a still developing part of his brain that left his mental health in tatters. Ali even considered taking his own life. Despite his parents' best efforts, porn was everywhere. The minute Facebook and Instagram know that you're a young man, they're already going to be feeding you in the algorithm more explicit content, Ali told the Desert News. It was hard to get away from. So I see there as being two different classifications of information. There is passive information, which you will find everywhere. You walk down the street, you see an advert, you turn on the TV, the default channels are all chirping away. It's the top replies on Google. It's the easiest information that you'll ever come across. And then the other side of it, the flip side of it, is active information, where you actually have to go and look for it. You actually have to make an effort to find it. And what I would like to see is a future where hardcore pornography is never available in any passive form. You have to be explicitly, actively looking for it if that's what you want to do, which I would discourage people from doing. With the help of his parents, Ali decided to jump 20 years into the past, to a time before unlimited Prawn was just a click away, replacing his iPod Touch with a flip phone and screen time with the outdoors. As a high schooler, Ali became an anti-porn advocate, and that is when he began to notice the change. Prominent influencers like Joe Rogan and Theo Von were putting a spotlight on the harmful effects of porn, and lawmakers also began catching up. Since 2022, 25 states, including Utah, have passed age verification laws making porn websites liable for letting minors access their content without any obstacles. Exactly, it's passively available. These laws were bolstered by a Supreme Court ruling last year that rejected the porn industry's argument that age verification violated the First Amendment by requiring adults to share personal information. In March, lawmakers made Utah just the second state in the country to impose a tax on porn businesses. They also added regulatory weight to Utah's 2023 age verification laws, which companies had not been following. For years, Ali had helped parents implement parental controls, only to discover workarounds because online corporations refused to take any measure to actively prevent minors from visiting their websites. The new law represents the conclusion Ali and many parents have reached. While parents are the primary line of defense against pornography, they need a shift in culture and policy to stand a real chance at success. Utah's anti-porn law. In 2023, Utah became one of the first states to require porn companies to verify the age of users. The law created a private right of action so a parent could claim damages if their child accessed a porn website. Pornhub, the 8th most visited website in the world, shut down in Utah rather than comply with the child protection measures. Meanwhile, no lawsuits were filed under the new law as age verification remained in legal limbo. I wonder if they are working on things in the background, though, to comply with these states, because if there is enough agreement on the state level, eventually it becomes federal law, does it not? I think you have to have 35 states agree. Is that right? And then it needs to be considered on the federal level. I may have just made that up. I don't know. But I seem to remember that. Something like that. But in June 2025, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld a similar Texas law. This emboldened the Utah legislature during the 2026 session to crack down on porn websites with a sin tax and a state-led enforcement process. We have a responsibility as a state to, number one, protect our minors, but also to facilitate a path forward that they can have healthy relationships in their adulthood, Utah Senator Calvin Musselman told the Desert News. The new law, SB 73, sponsored by Musselman R. West Haven, that's quite a name, will apply a 2% excise tax on online pornography. The tax follows the tobacco model by earmarking 90% of revenues to offset the negative cost to society. These revenues can only be used for mental health treatment, outreach, and educational programs related to harmful online material for minors. The other 10% will be used to pay for enforcement measures. SB 73, which was signed into law on Thursday, also adds serious teeth to Utah's age verification process. It tasks the Division of Consumer Protection with creating a list of websites whose content is at least one-third pornographic. The division will verify compliance with the new tax and age verification requirements. The division will likely rely on artificial intelligence and the Attorney General's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force to conduct this analysis, Department of Commerce Director Margaret Boos told the Desert News. Based on proactive investigations and complaints from Utah consumers, the division will apply fines of up to $2,500 for each age verification violation, or up to $5,000 if the prawn company has also violated a court order. Regulators were given authority to create an age verification standard. If prawn companies meet it, they won't be liable for minors on their site, but a virtual private network or VPN will not be an excuse to let a minor through. Why is it not all behind a paywall? The law is putting the onus on the company to figure this out, Booth said. The law simply says you can't have minors on your platform, and so the companies are going to have to figure out the VPN problem. See, if you have all hardcore pornography behind a paywall, who cares whether you're using a VPN or not? You have to log in. And you'd only have it behind a paywall if they'd had to register a credit card in order to get to the site. You can know for certain that that credit card is linked to a person who is of age, and it is no longer passively available. Prawn's impact on young people. Utah's porn company crackdown builds on a series of legislative findings. Porn companies have resisted voluntarily implementing age verification processes. SB 73 states, even though a wealth of research demonstrates a correlation between porn access and negative mental health outcomes. Last year, a report on porn research by the Institute of Family Studies at Brigham Young University's Wheatley Institute found that any porn use is associated with high levels of verbal and physical sexual aggression. The accumulation of data supports that porn harms mental health among minors, the report found. For example, multiple studies suggest that viewing sexually explicit material undermines positive self-esteem. The review pointed to a large-scale analysis showing that early engagement with porn is significantly associated with problematic porn use during adulthood, and any exposure increases the chances of compulsive porn use. A systematic review published in 2024 found that consumption of pornography also correlates with permissive sexual attitudes, risky sexual behaviors, more sexual partners, and negative attitudes towards women. The BYU report noted that a 2015 study found that one-third of the 100 most popular pornographic videos depicted violence against women. More than 6% depicted clearly non-consensual acts of sexual violence. In September, ALO, the parent company of Pornhub, paid Utah $5 million to settle a lawsuit for permitting non-consensual material and child sexual abuse material seriously to be viewed millions of times on its websites. As the prevalence of extreme porn content increases, the age of exposure is going down. The BYU report found that more than 97% of boys and 78% of girls between 12 and 18 had viewed pornography. A systematic review found the median age for first intentional exposure was 13 for boys and 16 for girls. One mother of 3 boys, ages 12, 16, and 18, said they were exposed to pornography at 6 and 8. The mother, a Bountiful resident who chose to remain anonymous, said parents need to wake up to the public health crisis. A 2016 Spanish study found that 60% of boys and 11% of girls ranging from 13 to 17 used the internet for sexual activities. The same study found that 75% of parents believed their children had never been exposed at all. It is accessible everywhere, the Bountiful mother said. You try to protect and block them as much as you can, but the platforms were designed for kids to find another way. And I think that's what's so aggravating. It's almost as if the business model is not to make money, but to maximize exposure, and money is just a cherry on top. Because why are they not paywalling this? I don't understand why this is so difficult. I would like somebody to tell me why, but this seems like an issue that could get a lot of agreement between the companies if they're interested in money and the parents who don't want their children exposed to this stuff. How to help parents. Another frustration shared by this anonymous mother and 2 other Utah mothers interviewed by the Desert News is that the ineffective safety measures of the technology handed out by public schools. The 2023 Technology Inventory by Utah's Education Network found that 70% of Utah K-12 schools give students a laptop or tablet computer. More than half of these schools allow students to take the device home. This makes it the state's responsibility to help parents prevent exposure, according to the bountiful mother, who said she was disappointed that she had to ask her local high school to remove YouTube from her son's computer. Another Utah mother, Brina Vance, said school-provided laptops have made parents' jobs much more difficult. As a substitute teacher, Vance said she watched 4th graders use Word documents to access porn during class. Really? You can use Word documents to access websites? I did not know that. Utah's new law is long overdue, Vance said. Vance has 4 adolescent children and is getting a graduate degree in marriage and family therapy because she said sexually compulsive behaviors are a family issue. In addition to destroying families, porn exploits those involved in its creation, according to Heather Mon Brittany Homer. It also has a similar psychological effect as sexual abuse on children who view it, she said. After receiving her degree in family life, Homer launched Project Stand, a non-profit that works with parents, schools, and local governments to develop guardrails to protect children from harmful online content. For parents to be able to do their job of protecting their kids, there's got to be state policies in place, Homer said. If companies are intentionally creating products that are harmful to minors, parents can't keep up with that. But Ali has committed to doing his best. Now married, Ali said he and his wife already thinking about how to apply the lessons their generation had learned the hard way, like waiting to introduce smartphones for his children until late in their teen years. Ali is ecstatic about the new law and said he is proud to live in a state that is family-focused. But these policy shifts must be accompanied by a cohort of parents who are willing to reverse the normalization of iPad kids. Parents across the country need to really reduce the amount of technology they have in their houses, Ali said. I just don't think kids should have that technology in their life. I think we'd be better off without it. Yes, but I think that's a big ask. It's not a bad idea to limit technology, but I think if we're going to be successful, we should have a multi-spectrum solution, and encouraging that is one thing that might happen in good families, but for other non-standard families where children are using devices, maybe there are parents that work, they can't spare as much attention as they'd ordinarily be able to. I think it's important to try and shut out hardcore pornography from passive information. And I really want to know, why is it so difficult for this content to be behind a paywall? It seems simple. Why is that not a thing? If you're a porn company and you're worried that such a statement would attack your industry, would it not force people who are that much involved in pornography to monetize? It would shrink your market, but it would make it more robust. Is that not a good thing for your, air quotes, business plan? It makes sense to me. Please, somebody tell me why I'm wrong. I don't understand. I do not understand. But this is good. Utah is making plans here to get in front of that. I want a rational, easy to manage discussion, really, because all of these age verification requirements seem so complicated, and I don't understand why you can't just paywall it. But that is it for now. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you like what I do. But that is it for now. And the only thing I have left to say is Pigwig out.
Oink, oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oink, oink, wee, squeal, snort, snort, oinkity, squee. Oink, 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 squee, squee, wee, 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 snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 wee, 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 oh. Snort, snuffle, oink, squee, squeal, wee, snort, oinkity, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, wee, squee, snort, oink, squeal. oinkity, snort, snuffle, snuffle, squee, oinkity, oink, oink, snuffle, squeeze, snort, oink, squeal. Oink, oink, oinkity, squee, squee, ree, snuffle, snort, squeal, squeal, oinkity, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, squeal, squeal. Snort, snuffle, oink, squeal, snort, oinky, oinkity, oink, 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 snuffle, squeeze, snort, oink, squeal, oink, oink, oinkity, squee, ree, snuffle, snort, squeal, oinky, oink, snort, snort, squee, oink, 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 ree, squeal, snort, snuffle, oink.